one of the things that people probably overlook and underappreciate most that can have the biggest ability to take them into happiness, certainly into wealth, is they overlook and underappreciate the things that make their soul feel good, the things that make them happy. Let me tell you about my life. So I am now CEO of National Care Financial Group, one of America's largest African-American owned financial services companies. The way that my company got this large was largely because I do inspirational videos, right? So most people came to know about me because of the inspirational messages I do. They found out about that before they ever knew what I actually did for a living, right? And my path into inspiration did not just start with these videos. So when I first finished high school, my initial job that I thought I was going to do was I thought I was going to be a pastor. And I'll tell you why. So in high school, my last year of high school, I went to an arts boarding school. I got a scholarship there. I used to do piano and classical voice, right? And so I got a scholarship there. I finished high school there. And it was up in a place called Interlochen, Michigan, which is very far north Michigan. Very cold. I mean, the kind of place where the lakes freeze over. It's very cold. And there wasn't much to do. Most of the students there would practice all day and everything like that. And, you know, as a singer, you can't really practice all day. You know, your voice would give out. So I had a lot of free time. And to be quite honest, I became depressed. It was very, very cloudy there. It's not much sun. I was away from my family. Most of the students were in their own world, so I didn't have a lot of interaction. And so what I started doing every day at the end of the day was I started journaling. Somewhere inside of me, I believe that if I journaled to myself, you know, just something inspirational at the end of the day, maybe that'll help me feel good for the next morning. So I started doing that. My mother had seen what I was journaling one day when I was coming in from school, when I had come in for like a break from school. And she saw that and she says to me, she says, "What is this? Are you writing a book or something?" I said, "No, this is my journal." She says, "This is very empowering stuff." I was like, "Really?" She said, "Yeah, it's really good. Keep doing it." So of course I'm thinking this is just my mother encouraging me, but just keep doing it. So I got back to school and I got a little nerve. And I went to one of the heads of the school because I remember reading in her bio that she used to work in publishing. And I went to her and I said, "How can I get this published? I think I want to do devotionals for youth about how they can feel better at the end of the day." And she said, "That's a great idea." So she showed me how to put together a literary proposal, put it together. I got signed with the literary agent and nothing happened. Nothing happened. A publisher did not pick up the book at all, right? So I was a little depressed. So I get to college, right? So here's where I get into the ministry part because I'm a PK as well. You know, my mom, you know, she eventually became a social worker and then went back to school and became a pastor. She got a master's in divinity. So I'm a PK. Pastor's kid is what that means. So I thought I was going to become a pastor. So nonetheless, I get to college, and the first job I found in college was working for a foundation that financed on-campus ministries. And I went to go meet with the guy who headed it up. And I thought I was going to get a job working as an admin. He says to him, "Something inside of me is telling me that you should be speaking in front of people." He says this on our first interview. I'm coming there waiting on, like, where's my desk? How do I answer the phone? Like, what am I supposed to do with this? Where's the coffee? So I get people coffee. He says, "No, I want you to do this." So every Sunday at 7 o'clock, I would do campus church services all over Philadelphia. There's a lot of colleges there. And I would speak. Well, I had never preached before. I knew that I was doing those Christian devotionals, right? So, and I knew that I wanted to eventually become a pastor. That was what was on my mind. Because, you know, when you're growing up and you can talk, that's what they tell you. Oh, that baby's going to be a preacher one day. So that's what I thought was going to be my destiny. Well, nonetheless, I decided I'm just going to focus on how I can inspire people to feel differently about themselves, right? So that's what I did. My messages were very broad and very inspirational. We ended up having so many people come to our services that we had to move out of the room that we were in, which probably said about 20 people, to move into one of the choir rooms on campus because that could seat 100 people, and we were still having people standing at the door, right? And so that's how I supported myself initially in college, was once a week I would do these services, and that was excellent for me. So fast forward. I eventually started a business in college, and I needed to earn money. Preaching was good, but I needed a little bit more money because I was in school supporting myself. So I get there, and I start selling real estate, did that until I graduated. The market crashes. You couldn't sell a shoelace, you know, after I graduated college. And so I got a job working in a call center helping people to refinance their mortgage. That was the only thing that was available. Well, let me tell you, they told us, what they used to tell us was that if you sell one refinance a week, you keep your seat. So they said, sell one a week and you keep your seat. That was written on the wall, so you can imagine what kind of environment this was, okay? And so I remember I got there, and I ended up closing probably about 8 to 10 people a week within about 3 weeks of being there. And the way that I did it was when I would talk to people, I would ask them one key question. I'd say, how did you get into this situation while you're behind? And they'd explain to me how they got behind. And I'd have a conversation with them. And I would talk to them about, if I can encourage you in any way, what I would encourage you to do is maybe consider this. Maybe I'd encourage you to consider that. I remember one woman I had to tell her, she said, my husband has put us in debt. He never comes home at night. She thought he was having an affair. I said, man, if I can encourage you of one thing, just to know that you are good enough and you are special enough that you don't have to subject yourself to that. So whatever we do to clean up your financial situation, I hope that you'll make a choice personally so that you don't have to end up in this situation again. Having those conversations with people, inspiring them, took my numbers up higher than everyone else. I closed almost everyone who spoke to me. And it wasn't intentional. That was the only thing I knew how to do. I only knew how to inspire people. That's pretty much the only thing I knew how to do. So nonetheless, did that job. Eventually, you couldn't even do refinances anymore. The market was tanking at that point in time. So I got into corporate America, and this was not a very inspirational job, okay? I worked in a consulting firm. It was nice making over $100,000 a year, but it was not very inspirational. So I did that job. And I got tired of doing it. I mean, I did it for years. And eventually my grandmother said, why don't you get an insurance license to earn some extra money to get out of consulting and maybe do something different. In my mind, I thought I was going to save enough money to open a Subway restaurant. Very practical, because I said people have to eat. Good economy, bad economy, people have to eat. So I got an insurance license. My first 6 months, I didn't make anything. My 6th month, I made $10,109. I've never seen a month less than that since. And I will tell you that the way that I built my client base was I said, the one thing that I know how to do well, the one thing that makes my soul smile is when I'm inspiring people. So I would put on live events and I would talk about how you can change your mindset so you can start making better financial choices. I didn't say one thing about whole life versus term insurance, one thing about mutual funds versus derivatives. Didn't talk anything about financial matters. What I talked about was the emotional side of how we determine what we're worth and how we value ourselves, because ultimately that's going to change your financial choices. I ended up getting so many people who wanted to become my clients that eventually I had to grow my team. And then eventually my team went from 7 people to 72 people. Now we're just above 600. And I can tell you that every step of the way, my business has grown through me consistently coming back to that one thing. What makes my soul smile? What makes me happy? What makes me happiest is inspiring people. I think that when a lot of people are looking for their passion, they're looking for that magic ticket that's going to bring them into wealth, and certainly, it does. But what I can tell you is that the way to look for it is not through looking in such a linear way, where you're looking for that one thing that you're exceptional at. What you need to do is look at what is that one thing that you do naturally, that you do well, and that it makes you feel good doing it. It makes you feel so good doing it that even if you weren't getting paid a dime to do it, you could still do it. For me, it is empowering people. It is helping people to say, I never thought of it that way, or you have really changed my mindset. When someone tells me I've changed their mindset, that literally makes my day. It is better than getting a $100,000 check. And I've got a $100,000 check. It's better than that feeling. It touches my soul. And so for me, what you see here today is, sure, I'm the CEO of National Care. Been featured in a couple places, Oprah, USA Today, Essence, Ebony, Black Enterprise, the list goes on. Sure, that is absolutely the case. But what you see is not just a successful CEO. What you see is someone who learned the skills to be able to do what I do in the financial arena, got the licenses. So I went out and cultivated this knowledge. I went out and intentionally got it. I did something that anyone else can do. What has allowed me to stand apart from the other hundreds of thousands of millions of people who have gotten the same licenses as me is the fact that I tied my technical abilities that I acquired over time, I tied that to the thing that makes my soul feel good to do it, because that's my calling, right? I tied that thing that I do so well and so natural that it can only be something that was given to me by my creator. I tied that to a technical ability, and then that allowed me to create an economically viable enterprise. So if you want to build wealth for yourself, if you want to do well financially, whatever it is you want to do for yourself, find a way to get a skill that's in demand. That's the easy part. You can always figure out what's in demand. What do people want to buy that they need to buy? Find a skill that's in demand, and then tie your way of doing that thing, executing it, to that natural ability that's within you, whatever that is. Don't underestimate that. Find a way to tie that natural gifting inside of you to that technical ability. Once you do that, that is the true recipe for success.